So you're thinking about moving to Ogunquit, Maine, and you're trying to figure out what exactly it's like to live in the town, not just the pros and cons of what it's like to live there, but see what it's like to drive around, see where your kids are going to go to school, where you're going to go out to dinner on the weekends, where you're going to get your groceries and gas. So that's exactly what we're going to go over in today's video. We're going to drive around and show you what it's like to live in Ogunquit, so you can figure out if this is the right place for your next move or investment. Let's get into it. All right, so the first thing I wanted to do was give you a little bit of history on the town of Ogunquit. So Ogunquit actually used to be a part of the town of Wells, which was established back in 1641, before Maine was even considered a separate state from Massachusetts. Originally, it was just a small fishing village, but it was soon recognized by artists and painters because of the beautiful rocky coast, and the town is still known for the arts today. By the late 19th century, people had already started visiting Ogunquit, and it already started becoming kind of touristy like it is today. And now the town has about 1,500 residents. It's about an hour and 25 minutes from Boston, about 25-30 minutes from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and about 50 minutes from Portland, Maine. All right, so the first thing I want to do is show you guys around downtown Ogunquit, and then we'll get into some of the kind of schools and day-to-day activities. So this is downtown Ogunquit. As you can see, the traffic gets pretty backed up here in the summertime, and this is kind of on a not so great day. So lots of restaurants and lots of little shops. There's tons of people walking around, and it's pretty much like this from the time breakfast starts to the time, I don't know, maybe till 1 a.m. Ogunquit tends to stay pretty busy just about every single day of the week, from Memorial Day weekend all the way through Columbus Day. There are lots of people in neighboring towns who come to Ogunquit all the time just because of the amazing nightlife and the awesome restaurants. Really, the only drawback is the amount of traffic that's here, and the fact that the town isn't exactly designed the best way in downtown for the flow of traffic. There's a 5-way intersection in the town that definitely jams things up even worse, so it makes it hard for tourists and locals to get around. But a lot of people don't really seem to mind because Ogunquit is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things to do here and a lot of places to go out to eat. So now we're going to head down to Ogunquit Beach, which is only about maybe a quarter of a mile max from downtown. This is probably one of the busiest beaches in the area. It probably competes with York and Kennebunk the most. A lot of people inland come to Ogunquit. Even a lot of people living in Wells come to Ogunquit to go to the beach. There's more parking down here, there's more restaurants, there's more things to do. It has more of a traditional downtown area than towns like Wells do. So this is Ogunquit Beach. There's clearly a lot of parking down here. You can clearly see why people constantly like to come to the area. There's tons to do, lots of people walking around even at nighttime when you wouldn't think there would be, or even on kind of crappy days. It's a lot of fun. So like I said before, Ogunquit has a 5-way intersection. Route 1 goes right through Ogunquit, and the road to the beach takes you down to the beach. Shore Road will take you down into Perkins Cove, where all the lobstering boats are and all the fishing boats. So that is where we're going to head next. All right, so now we're getting a little bit closer to Perkins Cove. Shore Road is off to the right here, and that's going to take you towards Cape Nettic in York, which we covered in last week's video. As you can see, the roads here start to get a little bit more narrow. It's definitely a little bit harder to get through Perkins Cove. The real estate in this area is definitely more expensive, and it's definitely very touristy. There isn't really a whole lot of parking down here, but if you can get parking, there's quite a few really good restaurants and shops. But it's definitely fun to come down here and go to the different restaurants and see all the different fishing and lobstering boats and walk around a little bit. All right, so you are probably wondering why we're going through some of the more touristy areas of Ogunquit and Perkins Cove and showing you around all of this stuff and really what it's like during peak tourist season. But that's because even though it's more touristy this time of year, I like to kind of show you guys around the different areas just because it is still Ogunquit and it's still what it's like to live in the town. So even if there's less people here in the wintertime, I still like to kind of drive around and cover all my bases and show you around. All right, and then the next thing I wanted to do was just briefly drive by the Ogunquit Playhouse, which is just a historic playhouse in Ogunquit. Wells High School, their convocation before their graduation is at the Ogunquit Playhouse. So if your kids are going to school in the area, this is where that will be. They have shows going all summer long and even into the fall, and pretty much if you ask anybody who lives even remotely in the Ogunquit area, they've been to a show or two before, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just kind of something cool to have in the town. So now I wanted to talk about the school system for Ogunquit. Residents of Ogunquit will go through the Wells school system. All right, and now we are pulling into the Wells Ogunquit High School, which is also where Moody residents go. The high school has roughly 450 students, give or take. It ranks in the top 5 to 10% of the state for test scores and in the top 1% for graduation rates. This is actually where I went to high school. I'm transferred to Wells when I was in elementary school or very late elementary school and graduated from Wells. So as the test scores show, Wells is a pretty good high school. All things considered in the state, a lot of the high schools and a lot of the school systems in general in this area tend to rank very well along the coast. So you really can't go wrong as far as the school system goes. Another thing I wanted to point out was the fact that there are no gas stations in Ogunquit and there are no grocery stores either. There is some markets where you can buy food, but there's no Market Basket or Hannaford or any of those types of large commercial grocery stores. There's none of that. So you'll have to do your grocery shopping either in Wells, which their Hannaford is rather expensive, or you could drive over to Portsmouth, New Hampshire and get your groceries at Market Basket. There's a couple different options, a couple different places you could go, but you do have to plan for that sort of thing when you live in this town. All right, so that is what it's like to live in Ogunquit, Maine. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send an email, or schedule a Zoom call. All that information's in the description below. See you next time.